Hi everyone, welcome to ELI, the place where you get your daily dose of inspiration for entrepreneurship. And today we have with us Mr. Anshuk Agrawal, co-founder of AdYogi, a marketing automation platform for e-commerce. Anshuk is a graduate of IIT Bombay and has also studied in the Indian School of Business and has worked for companies such as Booz and Company and Inductis. Hi Anshuk, welcome to ELI.
Hi, Priya. Very happy to be a part of this talk today. And I'm really amazed at what you have been doing at ELI. So happy to be here.
Thank you. Anshuk, I'd request you to introduce yourself to our audience, please.
Absolutely, Priya. So hi, everyone. I am one of the co-founders of AdYogi. We started in 2015. We are a 6-year-old company based out of Gurgaon in India. We have a team of 60 people working with us. And we currently work with around 200 e-commerce companies in helping them scale via Facebook and Google Ads. So very excited to be. I'm a first-time entrepreneur, and today I think I'll be talking about how you can be a successful entrepreneur as well. That's about me, Priya.
Okay, let's start by defining what is the company you have built. What is AdYogi?
Absolutely. So Priya, let's imagine you want to sell online, okay? And you are an entrepreneur who has opened your own brand of e-commerce and you have your own website. Let us probably call it as abc.com, okay? Now, if you want to grow your business at abc.com, you would want to get people from social platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and Google to come to your website and make a purchase, right? And that is exactly what AdYogi will help you do. So imagine you come to AdYogi with your website. We will pull all your products from your website. We will create creatives on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Google, and we will find the right set of people to come to your website and make a purchase. So to think of us as your marketing partner for an e-commerce company.
Okay. So Anshuk, can you give us some examples of brands you have been working with? What are some of the well-known e-commerce companies?
Absolutely. So currently we work with some large brands. Like for example, we work with wforwomen.com. We work with Manyavar. Manyavar is a men fashion brand. W for Women and Aurelia are women fashion brand. We work with some shoe brands. Like for example, we work with Liberty. I think all of us have heard about Liberty. We work with Clarks. Clarks is a well-known global brand. So we work with a lot of large brands in the apparel space, but we also work with a lot of small to medium brands. These are brands like Bunai.com, Suta.in, which are not very popular, but individually, each of these brands are doing a phenomenal business online.
Okay. Okay. So Anshuk, as we move on to the discussion, we will be discussing about two trivial topics. One is the e-commerce industry, then the other is marketing industry. So first we will start with the e-commerce. You see, lot of things are going on in Indian market, especially during the COVID time. Reliance growing very aggressively, and I hear Tata is also coming up with their e-commerce platform. So and there is Amazon and Flipkart and everyone else. Where do you see our e-commerce industry going in 5 years or 10 years from now? And where are some of the small areas where our young people and young entrepreneur minds can focus on to build a venture out of it?
Absolutely. So I think as you see in the post-COVID era, more and more people are actually going online, right? And everybody wants to sell online. Everybody wants to buy online, right? So what we have seen is in the last 6 months, there is a huge segment of people who were never online, who have now come online and started buying online. Okay. This also got expedited by platforms like Jio, Okay.
Okay.
Till about 3 years ago, tier 2 and tier 3 cities in India did not have a network connectivity. Today, we see a lot of brands we work with. They sell very aggressively in the tier 2 and tier 3 cities.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because Geo has increased the internet penetration there. Okay. For new entrepreneurs, I think online e-commerce is a great opportunity. Today, if you want to start your own business, one very good way would be figure out what is that niche product you want to sell online. Okay. This could be something which you yourself want and you probably have not been able to get online. Maybe your friends and family have been looking at buying some stuff which they are not able to find online, or probably your family is manufacturing something, or your friend is actually importing something which you think has a huge potential of selling online. Okay. So figure out that unique product which has not been present online so far. It could also be something which, let's say, a tier 2, tier 3, or tier 4 city customer currently doesn't have access to. Okay.
Okay.
So you can not only identify a product, you can also identify a unique market to focus on. And that itself will be a good combination for you to target.
Okay. There is another aspect I want to talk about, Anshuk. Very lately, I saw the antitrust hearing in US, which especially focused on Amazon being a monopolistic company. And as our industry, our e-commerce industry matures, we may see similar behaviors like either Amazon or GeoMart or Flipkart, only 2 or 3 players in the market, and our sellers will be heavily dependent on 1 or 2 companies to survive. Uh, in such a market, what are some of the best practices? I see you have mentioned some of the very good practices, but as the industry matures, what are the things as a small seller you should keep in mind?
Absolutely. One very important thing which I think all of us should keep in mind is when we think about e-commerce today, Priya, all of us think about Amazon or Flipkart. Okay? Many of us don't understand that there is this whole world of DTC website. Now, what is DTC? Okay, DTC means direct to consumer. Okay, and I'll give you an example of DTC. wforwomen.com, clarks.com. Okay, these are brand websites. These are your own websites where you sell directly to consumer and you don't have to rely on Amazon or Flipkart. Okay. So now all of us have heard about Amazon and Flipkart, but many of us may not have heard of this company called Shopify. Okay. So I will encourage our viewers to do a research on what is Shopify. Okay. And Shopify today is roughly about 15 to 20% of the overall GMV, which is the total value of sales compared to Amazon. So Shopify is not a small company, right? And Shopify is one of the platforms which any of the brands can use to build a DTC website. Okay. So I will highly encourage our viewers to go and research on Shopify. Today, it is very easy to start your own e-commerce website. Within 7 days effort, you can actually have a fully running e-commerce website with the use of Shopify. And you don't have to necessarily rely on Amazon or Flipkart.
Okay. Anshuk, let's move into the other aspect, the marketing aspect. I see a lot of Indian young people, they're becoming marketeers, especially digital marketeers. And this is such an industry, there's not much entry barriers. Just anyone can learn from online. And it's just like coding. You learn from online and you acquire the skill and then get a job. And as a result, we have been seeing huge growth in digital marketing, especially whoever learns to use Facebook or Instagram, he can get started, right? India as a country, it has a lot of potential being a potential of being a service based service hub. We have seen that in IT, in lot of IT demand in across the world is being met by Indian IT companies. So can we say that India can become a hub for marketing as well, when digital marketing is happening all around? Can India become a digital marketing hub, and what are some of the areas where our small scale entrepreneurs can focus on to build a venture out of it?
Absolutely. I think very well put together, Priya. And I do see digital marketing as one of the verticals which has been growing very, very rapidly over the last 5 to 10 years. Okay. Because of COVID, it has become even more faster. Today, almost every business which is present online needs a digital medium to reach out to potential customers, right? And as you can see, if you look at the traditional advertising, a lot of marketing spend used to go on TV, newspaper, radio. But in the last 5 years, the share of TV, newspaper, and radio has come down, and the share of digital as a platform has gone up. Okay. So today, if an entrepreneur wants to start digital advertising or digital marketing, I think it's a very good career choice. In the next 10 to 15 years, you can expect more and more demand coming in this vertical. Okay. So how do you become a digital marketer? So I can tell you a few steps to follow. Number one, when you talk about digital marketing, Facebook and Google are the top platforms. Okay. So if you want to become a digital marketer, focus on Facebook and Google. Okay. Number two, Facebook has something called Facebook Blueprint, and Google has something called Google certifications. So I would highly advise everybody who is interested in digital marketing to start doing Facebook Blueprint and Google certification courses. These are free courses available online, and you can start doing them, and within a span of, let's say, 2 to 4 weeks, you can complete those courses. Okay. Number three, if you want to focus on e-commerce as an industry, see, digital marketing can be done for any industry. You can do it for education, you can do it for real estate. But if you want to do it for e-commerce, then Shopify has a lot of courses online on how to do marketing using Shopify. Okay. Marketing on a Shopify website. Okay. So you can also complete those courses. It's called as Shopify Compass. Just like Facebook Blueprint, you have something called Shopify Compass. Okay. So these courses are available. Having said that, there are more courses available on YouTube. There are a lot of content available on platforms like Udemy and Coursera, which can also be used. Okay. So once you're able to build this knowledge, I would request these people to reach out to potential customers using LinkedIn. Today, LinkedIn is a very good platform to get potential customers. So find out your potential customers. Maybe that person is a co-founder of a startup. Maybe that person is running their own e-commerce brand. Reach out to them on LinkedIn. Tell them you are a digital marketer and you will be willing to work either as a full-time employee or as a freelancer. There are so many people out there looking for digital marketers, and there is a good chance you might be able to get your first set of customers.
Okay. Anshuk, now we will move into a deeper question that I personally have been very curious to know about, and I assume that you have a lot of insights to share on this topic. So there is a web series called, or rather a documentary called The Social Dilemma that has come in on Netflix, and where I and many of our audiences would have learned that the social media sites, especially those sites which understand user behavior and make a profile out of it, they tend to, they understand what you are looking for in a particular time frame, and then they start coming up with suggestions. For example, TikTok was such a platform. After you browse 10 or 15 videos in TikTok understand what kind of videos are you interested in, and it will suggest you the same kind of videos. But the dark side of it is the AI engine that understands you and comes up with suggestions. It also understands you in on a deeper level that any human being can do, and also it can manipulate you in multiple ways that even you as a user don't understand. So in a nutshell, or in a very short way, I can say the AI algorithms can hack human mind, right? So this is a huge concern, especially when we say Google, Facebook, and all major platforms. Is a huge concern right now, and how it is gonna impact and how it is gonna grow in coming days. I am sure this will have a large impact on the industry you are operating in as well.
Correct. So I think that's a valid point. I think with passing time, all of us are getting wary about the amount of data which social platforms have been collecting about people. So I can tell you two perspective to it. Okay, one, as a perspective of an advertiser. Okay, so you have to understand that I am actually an advertiser on Facebook. So whatever data which Facebook collects actually helps me reach out to my potential customers, or helps me help the brands reach out to potential customers. So as an advertiser, I think social media platforms have been generating a wealth of data. This data helps me target the right people. For example, today if I'm trying to sell, let's say, a premium women fashion product, imagine I'm trying to sell a 20,000 rupee kurta. Okay, Facebook lets me target people who have bought let's say expensive clothing in the past, or who are more prone to buying online, or people who are interested in brands like Zara or Louis Vuitton. Okay, so as a platform, Facebook is very rich in terms of tools and options which it offers advertisers to be able to reach out to potential customers. So in that sense, it is helping a lot of entrepreneurs, helping a lot of brands grow. It is also helping the end customer get the products which they desire to buy. Okay, now that is the perspective of an advertiser. But I do understand that as a user, you may not always be comfortable with all this data getting shared. Okay, so what my suggestion to all the users here will be that be very cautious on what you share on Facebook or Instagram, what kind of photos you put up there, what kind of interest you tell Facebook and Google, so that you should only tell so much which you are comfortable sharing, given we all know that they are recording this data.
Anshik, you have shared the two sides of the story, the from the advertiser side and from a user side, and I suspect there is a third angle to it, and that was the point that was raised in the documentary, that many of the people who have built those AI algorithms, they don't understand how AI works, how this particular thing is working, how Facebook is coming up with the suggestions for post, or when you open YouTube, the videos you see, how that feed comes, how YouTube calculates the ranking of different feeds, and it posts a particular feed on the top. Uh, n- the people who have built it, they don't even understand. And having said that, can can it be a possibility when the AI algorithm of YouTube or Facebook will support a particular political party, or support an agenda and push it to everyone, and that is how it can influence just everyone and change the narrative of a nation, or of a uh, of the entire world?
Right, absolutely. So I haven't really watched the social dilemma, but I do understand the point which you are trying to make here. So it's absolutely right in saying that the person who is writing the code may not really understand the implications of it. Okay. See, you might write the code or the artificial intelligence algorithm keeping some use case in mind. Okay. But once you launch it, it might be used for an entirely different use case. Okay. And this always happens. Right? So much of R&D has been done in the past. Like think of it as nuclear fission and fusion, right? Those technologies were originally meant for energy generation, right? And they could be used for use cases outside of constructive use case, right?
Exactly.
So you're right in saying that some of the AI algorithms may not be used what they were originally intended to. Okay, and it's at the end of it, it's up to the organization to figure out how they implement those cases. It can influence people. I think you have seen that in the past, whether it is US elections 2016, there is still a lot of news in the market as to how they might have influenced the presidential elections. So it has the power of influencing people. So organizations have to be more responsible in the way they use these algorithms.
Hmm. I think Elon Musk, who was one of the founders of OpenAI, he also left the board and said that OpenAI is a dangerous thing. And there is no clear cut answer. And I really appreciate you tried answering many of the concerns. But as a community of human beings, we all of us need to look at this aspect. Moving on, Anshuk, now we will discuss about your personal side of being an entrepreneur. Uh, Now tell us how you got started into entrepreneurship. What was your first day like, and how did you find your co-founder?
Right. So it was actually in 2014. So I was working with a consulting company, and I was working on some client engagements based out of Gujarat. Okay. Now, what I realized, see, before I started my venture, I was working in a consulting company, and prior to that, I did my MBA, and prior to that, I was working in an analytics company. Okay. So during the course of my working in analytics company and my MBA, I realized that analytics as a tool is very powerful. Okay. Data mining is actually very, very powerful. So I always wanted to do something in analytics, which is why in 2014, while I was working in a consulting company, I thought I would take a little bit of a break and I would figure out and explore some ideas in analytics. Okay. Thankfully, in my case, my company was very open to give me a sabbatical. So they allowed me to pursue my entrepreneurial dream for 1 year. And if it doesn't work out, they gave me an option to come back. Okay. So this is something which was a very big moral support for me because I had a plan B in place. I could always come back to my old company, right? So I would encourage all the viewers here, if they're currently working in a job, reach out to your companies. A lot of companies today are very open to give you some sort of a sabbatical and get you back in case you want to join them again. Now, you asked me about the co-founder as well. In my case, the co-founder was actually my batchmate from ISB Hyderabad. So that really worked well because I had known him for many years, from 2011 to 2014 before we started working together. So I'll also encourage the viewers to find a co-founder which you have known for some time or which you get along well. And secondly, also find a co-founder which has complementary skills, okay? Which means he has different skills than what you already have, right? In my case, I came from an engineering background, and the co-founder Rohin Mittal, he came from a chartered accountant background. So he had a very different background than me, which helped us because we had different skills.
Okay. Anshuk, now we would like to know what are the different challenges you have faced so far while building and growing this venture?
Right, absolutely. I think a lot of challenges every entrepreneur faces, right? And I know every startup has very different challenges. I'll tell you a few which I faced. Okay. Number one, when we started, we didn't start with Adyogi when we started. Okay. As I said, I wanted to do something in analytics, and slowly and gradually the idea got pivoted towards e-commerce and marketing. So essentially what I started in 2014 is not what I'm doing right now. Okay. We changed the idea during the journey. Okay. Now, one big challenge which I faced is I never came from a marketing background. Okay. I had zero experience in marketing till 2014. I had never worked in an e-commerce company. Okay. If you see my background, I have a consulting background in financial services. Okay. And I had never done technology, never written a piece of code. Okay. Never worked in a product company. So I was trying to build a marketing technology product for e-commerce without marketing knowledge, without technology knowledge, without product background, and without any e-commerce experience, right? And same holds true for the co-founder. So Rohin Mittal, if you see his background, he comes from an FMCG background and a chartered accountant. So he didn't have any of those four either. Okay, so we actually were trying to do something very new where we didn't have any experience, which was a challenge in the beginning because we didn't understand any of those, right? So we invested a lot of time in actually understanding the business, right? And what worked in our favor is right from 2015 onwards, we always were very keen to get customers. So we got our first customer in 2015 itself. We didn't wait to have a product in place. We didn't wait to have a big team in place. We were always from the day one saying, look, we want to get a customer. Okay. So the challenge was, of course, lack of background, okay, lack of knowledge. But the way we addressed it was we always had customers paying, because if you have a paying customer will teach you a lot, right? They taught us technology, they taught us e-commerce, they taught us marketing. We were very thankful to have initial set of customers trust us because of our credentials. But in the journey, we actually created something which was hugely valuable to them as well and hugely valuable to us as a company.
Okay, interesting. Uh, Now, perhaps my last question. We have come to the end of time limit. My last question to you: what would be your final message to our potential entrepreneurs? How they can start their journey? If you can share some of the interesting lessons.
Absolutely. So, see, I'll tell you, as a first-time entrepreneur, okay, when you want to start your entrepreneurial journey, right, what comes to your mind? The first thing comes to your mind is what is that idea? What is that rocket science idea, which is like completely out of the blue, which nobody has thought about today, which I can work on, right? That's what comes to everybody's mind. And my answer is there is no such idea. Okay. In most cases, whatever you are starting, your idea is never truly unique. Okay. Because if you try to find a unique idea, you will always find someone who is already working on it. Okay. So don't be in the rush to find that truly unique idea, because in most cases it does not exist. Okay. And I'll give you some example. Okay. If you think Amazon was the truly unique idea, you might be mistaken. Okay. There were at least 15 to 20 e-commerce companies which came before Amazon, which tried to sell online. We have our own example in India. There was a company called Bazi.com. Nobody of us probably would remember it now, but they tried to do online what Amazon did much later. Okay. So I know a lot of us are in the whole thought process of first mover advantage, right? All our MBA schools teach us first mover advantage. Our literature teaches us first mover advantage. But trust me, first mover advantage is small, okay? Because you're trying to build something absolutely unique, a lot of challenges you will face, okay? A lot of times, startup is just about picking the same old idea, but executing it really well, okay? Execution is the key to a successful startup. So, so I will strongly urge our viewers to not sit on the sidelines waiting for that miraculous idea to come. Pick up a small problem which you are seeing in the market. Don't worry about competition. There might be 5 other people trying to do the same idea, which is absolutely normal. The market is so big that there could be 20 competitors in the same market. Okay, so don't worry about competition. Pick up a problem statement, find your first set of customers, which is super, super important, because unless you have a customer, you cannot be solving a problem, right? A customer is super important. That's what helped us as well. So find a problem, find a customer, and then focus relentlessly on execution. Execution is the key. How well you can execute that problem so that you can solve the need of the customer is going to define the success or the failure of your startup.
Okay. Okay. On that note, I'd close this session. It was a great pleasure to host you here at ELI. I think our audience would have got lifetime lessons. Thanks for your time, Anshuk, and best wishes for Adyogi.
Absolutely, Priya. Really happy to be talking to you today. And all the best to all the viewers of ELI. I think this is a great time to be starting your own venture in India. There is plenty of opportunity out there. So please be on the lookout of opportunities and starting your own ventures.
Viewers, you can follow and connect with Anshuk on LinkedIn by typing Anshuk Agrawal. Also, do visit their website by typing adyogi.com. That is it for today's episode. We will be back with another exciting entrepreneur. Stay tuned to ELI.